So my offering today is a little bit different than what we normally do here on Patreon, but I think this is really important stuff, and I think it'll be really beneficial to you as a dancer. So we're going to focus on our feet today. Our feet are totally fundamental to being a strong dancer. However, I find that most belly dance classes tend to overlook the feet. Whereas if you spend a lot of time in, say, ballet, for example, you spend so much time, years, focused on strengthening and developing your feet. So we're going to do a couple of strengthening and balancing exercises. I'm going to talk about alignment. I'm not really offering any dancing per se in this video, but again, I think it's really important to changing your structure and how you hold yourself when you're dancing, because I tend to notice a lot of belly dancers who either pronate or supinate their feet, either roll their ankles in or slightly roll out, especially when working in releve. And a lot of it is just working on your foot strength and ankle stabilization. So I'm going to give you a couple exercises you can do on your own. You can work at whatever level you would like, and hopefully you find that this is beneficial for you. So the first thing we're going to do is work on flexing and pointing our feet. So I'd like you to take a seat with your legs as straight as you can get them. If it's hard for you to sit with your upper body lifted, it's sort of okay here. You could put a bolster underneath your hips to help tilt your pelvis forward slightly. But I do want you to work on completely straightening the legs and squeezing the quads, so that when we flex the feet, the heels will actually slightly pop up off the floor. So what we're going to be doing here is working on pointing our toes. And a lot of times when I ask to see a point, I see a lot of times this. You can see my foot, it's not really extending through the ball of the foot, or sometimes it's even sort of here, or sometimes the ankle rolls in. And what we want to do is first extend through the ball of the foot, pointing as far as we can while the toes are still spread wide. So I call this a foint, which would be a flexed point. And then you're going to point your toes. From there, you'll flex your toes. You're going to try to get the yogi toes, spreading your toes nice and wide. I broke my little right pinky toe, which I don't think you can see here, so it sometimes doesn't play along. From here, you flex your feet all the way. So, sitting up nice and tall, you can bring your hands behind you to help you here. Straighten your legs all the way. We're going to send the ball of the foot forward, point the toes, flex the toes, flex the foot. A couple of times here. Press through the ball of the foot, point the toes, flex the toes, flex the entire foot. As you're doing this, watch your ankles. You want to stabilize through your ankles. So if you notice your ankles are wobbly, mine are kind of always wobbly. It's sort of a constant thing I'm working on, is to strengthen my little ankles. We just want to take note of that. Make sure your feet aren't rolling in towards each other or pressing outward. Make sure your knees are not falling in towards each other, because these are all going to affect your alignment when we're standing up and we're dancing. So we're going to add on to this. We're going to add a rotation from the hip socket. So we're going to go from a parallel position to rotating out from the hips. Feet are still going to be flexed here, and I'm not trying to go for a crazy turnout, just wherever your natural turnout is in your body. So we're going to add our flex and point here. You're going to turn out, quads are squeezing. I'm already getting a pretty good workout in my legs doing this. Press the balls of the feet forward, toes spread wide, point the toes. Now turn your feet parallel while you maintain that point. Flex the toes, spread the toes wide, flex the foot. A couple of times here. Turn out, ball of the foot forward, point the toes, parallel, flex the toes, flex the foot. Two more times. Turn out, press through the ball of the foot, press the toes, turn parallel, flex the toes, flex the foot. One more time, and then we're going to take this in reverse. Ball the foot forward, point the toes, feet parallel, flex the toes, flex the foot. Now we reverse. Ball of the foot presses forward, toes flexed, point, turn out, flex the toes, flex the foot. Parallel, ball of the foot forward, point the toes, turn out, flex the toes, flex the foot. One more time here. Ball of the foot forward, spread those toes wide, point the toes, turn out, flex the toes, flex the feet, come back to neutral or whatever what neutral would be here. Shake it out, maybe give your quads a little love. So, quick little stretch. We're gonna flex the feet. If you need to soften the knees here, that's totally fine. But you're gonna reach your arms up. You're gonna take your arms over. You're gonna take the base of your wrist to your tops of your toes. And you're gonna slide your chest forward so you're getting length through the spine. And then maybe start to straighten the legs a little bit more so that you're getting a nice stretch here for your feet, also for your hamstrings. This is a little nicer when you're more warmed up, but since we're here on the floor, I thought I'd show you this now. And then you're gonna point the toes. You're gonna take your thumbs inside of the arches of your feet, fingers on tops of your toes, and now point the toes, and you're gonna lift from the inside of the arch of the foot with the thumb, and then use your fingers to press down on tops of the feet. Ooh. Go ahead and release that. And then shake your feet out for a second. So a lot of the work we're going to do today is focusing on how we're gripping the floor with our feet and working on engaging the arch of the foot. Feels really weird to not speak into the camera with my face. Here's my feet, here's my legs. Anyhow, so I want to just show you a stretch really quick. You might have seen little yogi toes that are advertised for sale that are supposed to help stretch out your feet. There's also different flip-flops. This is a little hack for you if you don't want to spend money on something like that, is you just take your fingers and you thread them in between each thumb. Like so. And sometimes I'll read or listen to a podcast, or I don't know, you can watch a TV show or something like that, and just sort of allow that stretch to get into your toes. I also like to take little circles and just really get some mobility and lubrication into the feet. So it looks kind of funny, but it's really effective. And when I first started doing this, let's go ahead and try the other foot, it felt really painful. It's taken me a while to get that flexibility, but I tend to get a lot of cramps in my feet, so this has really helped with that, as well as taking a magnesium supplement and stretching. Obviously, Epsom salt baths are always great. That's magnesium as well. But we want our feet to be strong and flexible as dancers. So now I'd like to go over how we place our weight on our feet and making sure that we have correct alignment and that we're not rolling our ankles in or out. So we don't want to pronate or supinate the foot. We sort of want to find a little sweet spot. So in the style of dance that I do, which I refer to as contemporary fusion belly dance, which is a mouthful, I know, I like to have my feet about hip width apart. So I tend to dance with feet maybe a little wider than most belly dancers do. And that's just because I'm usually ready to go to take a turn or anything like that. There's always exceptions to the rule, but for my general stance, I think of alignment from my hip sockets, from my knees to my ankles, and then down into my first and second toes. So if my feet are in closer, it's definitely going to make my hip work look a little more isolated. So again, if I'm standing in place, maybe that's when I'll bring my feet together. But generally, I want to keep that alignment. And the alignment is really going to be key when we're working from our knees through the ankle and then through the first and second toe. So if you take a look at my left foot here, and I slightly collapse the arch of my foot. You can see how my ankle bone sort of points in. You can see, let me turn this. Okay, sorry, that's a little bit better point of view. So looking at my left foot here, if I allow my foot to roll in, you can notice how the ankle bone sort of rounds in a little bit, my arch is collapsed, and you can see that it sort of takes my knee in a little bit, and that's not going to be a good thing, especially with a lot of using your knees in our hip work or just any movement in general, right? We want that alignment. Same thing can happen if you roll your weight too much to the outside of your foot. My big toe's not anchoring down, which is really my main point of, what am I trying to say? Balance while dancing. So I don't want this to happen either, and I also feel like the outer quads and whatnot have to really work to sort of hold me into place, and then you can see my toes are kind of like gripping the floor because I want to feel more balanced. So what I want to be able to do is hold my foot position with the arch of the foot lifted. So I have a collapsed arch. I have to work very hard on this, but I've actually made my shoe size smaller by working on strengthening my feet, and you can notice that when my arch is engaged, my foot is actually not as long as when my foot is just flat. So it's a little difficult if you're not used to engaging the arch of the foot, but how I suggest working is flexing your foot, and you can just try one foot at a time. You're going to flex your foot, and you want to find 3 points of balance between your heel, the big ball of the foot, and then the little ball of the foot on the outside. So I have those 3 points of contact, and then I want to spread my toes wide and then connect to the floor. And then if I need to, if I'm stepping onto that foot to balance or something like that, I'm stabilizing through my ankle, I'm pressing down through my big toe. You can see my arch is not collapsing. If I collapse my arch, there goes my balance, right? So I really want to work on strengthening the foot, lifting that arch off the floor. So this is kind of a fun little exercise you can do, is to take a towel, place your foot flat. Again, make sure you're not starting with that heel collapsed, but you want that heel lifted, and then you're going to spread your toes and you're going to grip the towel, and then you're going to pull it in towards you. So that just sort of strengthens the feet, but you can see as I do that, I'm also lifting the arch of the foot. So I'm not going to make you watch me do this. You can do this on your own. But that's a nice little way to start working on strengthening the arches of the feet. Another way we're going to do this is through just some standing footwork, some foot positions. So coming back to my sort of home position with my feet parallel, I'm going to come onto releve, or the ball of the left foot, again, my left foot here. So I'm checking in again. I have that alignment from my knee through my ankle through my first and second toe. I don't want to roll my ankle in. I don't want to roll it out. When we come up into releve, it's really common to roll the ankle out. And that just means we need to strengthen the ankles and you need to press down through the ball of the foot and the big toe. So I don't want that weight rolling out to the pinky toe. So I'm pulling that ankle into line. So I refer to this as a forced arch. You could think of this as what we did on the floor when we did our point, our flexed point. I'm pressing through the ball of the foot, so if I want to have that be weighted, I can, but my toes are spread, right? They can grip the floor if I need them to, but I'm not trying to be in a state of gripping the floor all the time with my toes because that's going to really wear me out. So I want to grip when I need to. So go ahead and lower that heel. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. I know this seems really basic, but lift that heel up. Check out your alignment, knee, ankle, first and second toe. And then you're going to lower that heel. So you're just going to lift, lower, lift, lower. Keeping your hips even, just really working through the ball of the foot. And you probably already feel a little bit of a workout already. And then you're going to take both heels up, down. You might hear some little ankle cracks. It's totally normal, but the idea is you're pressing up. See if you can hold it up here while I talk. If you need to drop down, that's fine. Check out your ankle alignment. Make sure your ankle's not rolling out. You can see here, as soon as I roll out, I have weakness in my ankle and I feel very unstable, so I can't balance here. I need to pull that ankle in. I'm anchoring down, whoop, through my big toe. Go ahead and release down, shake your feet up. So although this might seem very simple and basic, this is hard work. It's important, but it also can be challenging. And if you do have any foot, ankle, knee injuries, I want you to take this slowly, and you might need support at first. We're working on not only our foot strength, but we're also working on our balance. The more foot strength we have, the easier balancing will be. But if you're coming up into that releve on both feet, you can take a chair, or you can use a wall. A ballet bar is great. And you can use this to support yourself. So you're still standing. You can do this with straight or bent legs if you wanted to work more on belly dance technique. You're going to drop your tailbone, core engaged, and then you can press straight up, down, up, down. And when you come up, make sure you're not sending yourself forward. What tends to happen a lot is this sort of forward pressing, which is going to make you lose your balance. You want to press into the floor. When you press down, that's what's going to lift you up. So pressing straight down to lift up. And then you could start to maybe take one hand off the chair. And when you feel really confident, you can take both hands off the chair, or you don't even need to use the chair. You're probably already feeling your calf muscles here. They're definitely working as well. If you want to take it up a notch, you can do this on one foot. So you can start in that forced arch with one foot. You could take it into a coupe, which means pointing your toes and connecting above the ankle bone. Or you can take it into a full passe, which might be hard if you're holding on to a chair. And then I'm going to do a coupe. And then you can, again, press up and down. So this is a little bit more challenging. Again, you can take one hand off the chair. You can take both hands off the chair. Ooh. Ankle's already getting worn out. I'm not there on this foot. So I have a knee injury that I'm recovering from, so this is a little challenging for me. But go ahead and try it on the other side. And this is also just something, once you've learned these exercises, you can incorporate them into your dance practice and do them on your own. So whatever position you want to be here, coming up and down, maybe taking one hand off your chair. If you're using the chair, maybe taking both hands off the chair, a little bit stronger and supported on this side. And then maybe take it up and hold it. Keep pressing down. And release. Shake your feet out. So we're going to do a little balancing / strengthening sequence. And again, this is still relating to our foot placement. And I really want to emphasize this time anchoring down through your big toe. So for example, I'll show you if I were to come out of a lunge and I wanted to come up into a crescent lunge, for example. So if I'm here with my knee stacked right over my ankle, my back leg is straight, I'm pressing through the heel, my quad is engaged, so the leg is really engaged and ready to help lift me up. This is a moment where I'm usually very shaky in yoga or in dance class, but coming up and being balanced, it takes a little core strength, it takes leg strength, of course. I want to stabilize through my ankles, but I really want to press down through my big toe. So I'm here, I'm pressing into the floor, and that just lifts me up so much easier rather than having sort of a shaky foot or ankle. So we'll be doing a couple of things. I'll be telling you to really ground down through the big toe. So try to balance through this sequence as much as you can. Of course, take a break if you need it, stretch out if you need it, or break this up and do it however it works for you. So we're going to start balancing on our right leg. So you're going to spread your toes really nice and wide. You're going to lift that arch of the foot off of the floor. You're going to press down through that big toe. Tailbone's dropped. I'm going to have my core engaged. And we're just going to start by coming into tree pose. So in tree pose, you could start with this position with just your ball of the foot on the floor. or you could come into a little turned out coupe, or you could take that foot all the way inside of the ankle, really anywhere than inside of the knee. Now press down through that right hip, or sorry, your left hip, I'm trying to mirror you. Think of being really open in the pelvis. So you notice my ankle is a little wobbly here, and then as soon as I really press down through that big toe, I have so much more stabilization, and then I think of lifting that arch up off the floor so my foot is completely engaged. We can have hands at heart center. You can take your hands up overhead. Wherever you want to be here, make sure you're breathing, shoulders relaxed. Now, we're going to come out of this slowly. I want you to try to maintain your balance. Again, if you fall out, just come back to it. From here, you're going to release that foot, but you're going to turn in to a parallel passe. So that foot's right inside of the knee, or you can come back to that coupe, that above the ankle position. Make sure you're not locking out your standing leg. There's a soft bend, so you're protecting the joint. And from wherever here you want to be, you're going to take a little plie and then lengthen. So bend, lengthen. As you bend, you're tucking the pelvis, so that's how my knee is coming up slightly. Anchor down through that big toe. Okay, from here, you're going to take that knee back. Left hand comes out to the side. You're going to grab inside of the foot. We're going to move into dancer. So knees are together, tailbone dropped. Take your right arm overhead. Kick your foot into your hand. Start to hinge from the hips. Try to keep the hips parallel to the floor. Keep your energy extending forward and up. Anchor down through that big toe. Easier said than done, I know. I'm very sore and not really able to get into this very far today, but that's okay. I'm working on that foot stabilization. Now release. See if you can hold that. Flex your foot. Open up to figure four. Your right foot. See if you can keep your balance. Whew. Foot is probably on fire. Mine is really on fire. I apparently have no balance right now. It happens sometimes. It's okay. And then come up. Release that left foot down. Shake your right foot out. Ooh, it's a good little workout. So you're going to take some little rolls of your foot and ankle. And as you do this, I want you to flex and point. I see a lot of times dancers just kind of like do. I want you to really actively point and flex as you roll through your foot. And then the opposite direction too. And now, step that foot back. And again, I'm trying to maintain my balance, getting my work in wherever I can. Press that heel into the floor to stretch the calf, because we did a lot of calf work as well. And then let's take both hands to the floor. Let's take it back to that deeper lunge. So make sure your left knee is stacked right over the ankle. We're going to press up into that crescent moon like I was talking about, or a crescent lunge. So anchor down through the big toe. Straighten that back leg, engage the quad, core strong, come all the way up. Hold it here, drop the tailbone, and then we're going to lower knee and straighten. So your back is going to bend, straighten. I'm very shaky because I've been doing a cleanse, so my body's working through some things, but that's okay. It still feels good to do some movement. Good, and then take both hands back to the floor. Step your back foot forward to meet the front foot. Feet can be together or hip width apart. Whatever feels good. Bend the knees, drop your tailbone, roll all the way up. So, we're going to even things out. We're going to do that on the other side. So, starting with our tree pose. So now we're going to anchor down through the left foot. So taking a second, spreading the toes wide. I start with my foot flexed. I find those 3 points of contact. My cat decided this is a good time to run around and play. Anyhow, spread your toes wide, press the big toe into the floor, make sure the arch is lifted, and then find your tree pose, preferably doing what you did on the other side, but maybe you have a side that you have an injury or something. Generally, we want to even things out. So again, you can see my ankle is a little wobbly, so I'm going to press down through my big toe. I'm going to work on lifting that arch of the foot, tailbone dropped, hands start at heart center. You can stay right here. You can take your arms overhead, wherever you feel confident and strong here. Make sure you're not holding your breath. This could also be done up against a wall. You could come back to using your chair. Take your hands back together, heart center. So we're gonna transition. We're gonna try to keep our balance. Here we go. Take that knee forward into your passe or your coupe, wherever you wanna be. And we're gonna take that little plie and tuck, lengthen. Make sure you keep the hip down. So I don't wanna lift my hip up because that's gonna throw me off balance. Tailbone dropped, tuck, lengthen one more time, tuck, lengthen. From here, take that leg back, right hand out to the side, grab inside of the foot, press down through that big toe, left hand comes overhead, whoops, moving into dancer, kick the foot into the hand. So you're creating a little tension here so you can hinge from the hips, extend your energy forward and up. So if you just look straight down, your body tends to go where your eyes go and slowly come back up. There goes Cleopatra. And then flex the foot, moving into figure four. Your left foot's probably on fire. Mine is, it really wants me to let off for a minute, but I'm just gonna stay here. Ooh. And then step that foot back. Oh no, we already stretched that side, excuse me. Shake that left foot out, good job. So now we'll do a couple of those really intentional flex and points as we roll through the ankle and other direction. That made me out of breath. And now let's stretch that calf out. So step that foot back, press the heel into the floor. Stay here and breathe for a moment. And then we'll take both hands to the floor into that lunge. So make sure your front knee is stacked right over the ankle. And then here we go, we're gonna come up into that crescent lunge. So back leg is straight, quad is engaged, kneecap is lifted. Press the big toe into the floor, come on up. Drop your tailbone, belly button in towards your spine. Breathing. Oh, and we need to bend the knee, straighten, bend, straighten. Shakiness is okay. 2 more times. Good. Both hands to the floor. Step forward to that forward fold. And bend your knees, drop your tailbone, roll all the way up. And that's it. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I hope that you feel like this made sense and that this will give you a stronger foundation for your dancing. Thank you so much.